And a very happy Thursday to you at 12:06 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang's in Culver City.
Well, here's a new one. A registered sex offender is running for Fresno City Council.
Well, I would hope this one would refrain from shaking hands and, well, particularly kissing babies.
I don't think he's allowed anywhere near the babies.
Yeah, wouldn't that violate a restraining order?
Can you imagine the door-to-door campaign? Hi, I'm running for city council and I'm a registered sex offender. Because he has to disclose that to every constituent.
Okay, I want you to answer this honestly. If candidate A has a clean record, never so much as gotten a parking ticket, but they were going to go in and they were going to, well, let's give this candidate a name. Katie Porter.
I had a feeling that was coming.
And she was running against this guy. Who would you vote for?
I'd vote for Katie Porter.
I'd have to find out if he was going to raise my taxes. And then I'd do my due diligence before I cast my ballot. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Well, yesterday we learned that the superintendent of LAUSD was being looked at by the feds. The feds went through his house. They went through his offices at LAUSD, a location in South Florida where he worked before he came to the state of California. And we really didn't know much about what they were investigating or why specifically they were looking into him. It broke right before we went on the air, so we had extremely limited information. We figured as time goes by, we'd learn more about the investigation. And Randy, that's exactly what happened.
So right now, the big news that we learned is that the office in Miami was not connected directly to Carvalho, but was connected to an AI startup, a failed AI startup where the owner has been charged with fraud, who apparently secured a $6 million contract with LAUSD for an AI chatbot.
That seems like kind of small potatoes for LAUSD. We went through the numbers yesterday, and LAUSD is the second largest school district in the entire nation. If they buy something, that's life-changing money for the vendor. $6 million is a lot of money to you and me and to most people. But in terms of contracts that LAUSD engages in, it's really kind of small potatoes.
Let's see what's going on here. Here is an update from NBC4 in Los Angeles.
And we begin at 6 today with the investigation into the LAUSD superintendent, Alberto Carvalho. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Brownlee. NBC4 Investigates was the first to tell you about the search warrants the FBI served here today. This all began...
You ever notice how sometimes news reports like to start with humble bragging?
There's a lot of backslapping.
We were the first ones. I mean, the other guy was about 2 seconds after us, but we were first.
This all began this morning. Our cameras were there at the superintendent's home in San Pedro. Agents also served a warrant at his office in Westlake.
NBC4's Alex Rozier leads our coverage tonight from San Pedro.
News Chopper 4 was overhead in San Pedro as officials with the FBI pulled property from LAUSD Superintendent Alberto Carvalho's home. Today in LA's Lauren Coronado.
Okay, stop the tape here for a second. If they had their chopper over his house taking video, someone tipped them off.
Well, that's definitely possible. Most of these news organizations have sources within law enforcement that will let them know, hey, something big's about to happen. But you could also assume that when the raid happened of the office, they're probably also going to his house. Let's get the chopper over there real quick.
That's true.
Today in LA's Lauren Coronado asked questions as they left.
Good morning. Can you guys share any comment on what was taken from the home? Sorry. No comment. How long have you guys been here?
Though FBI officials...
They're not talking. They're the FBI.
Yeah, they never talk.
They never talk until they're allowed to talk, and then they have lots to say.
Who do you think talks more? The FBI before they've revealed just exactly what they're looking at, or Teller from Penn and Teller?
Though FBI officials offered no comment in San Pedro, we did hear from the superintendent's neighbor, who said the law enforcement activity started around 6 a.m.
We heard the sirens.
Whoa!
Who is this?
This is a neighbor of Alberto Carvalho, and he may be the entire reason that the tobacco industry is still profitable.
I think we could get lung cancer just listening to him.
We heard the sirens going off, and then all of a sudden, somebody said,
I didn't even know you could still buy unfiltered cigarettes.
Well, if you want to know where you can pick him up, ask this gentleman.
we heard the sirens going off, and then all of a sudden, somebody said, stay in your house.
How many people did you see involved?
I'm not a soothsayer. I don't predict things, but something tells me this man will need a tracheotomy someday.
Oh, it sounds like he's got a trach hole right now.
Stay in your house.
How many people did you see involved with this operation?
I saw at least 5, 6. They were parked in front of my house, and
Does he have a cigarette in his throat right now?
I think he's got one on the left side of his mouth, one on the right side of his mouth, one in the trach hole, and I'm going to stop right there.
Please do.
I saw at least 5.
Hey, tobacco, the addiction to nicotine is strong. Do you remember during the COVID days where videos were emerging of people that had to wear the masks inside casinos in Vegas, but because it's Vegas, what they were doing was they had the mask, but they had a cigarette coming out the side of the mask, and then they were blowing the smoke into the mask so they could really just waft in the tobacco.
I was there when they started requiring those, and you had a choice at that time. You could do a face guard where you had this piece of plastic in front of your face, or you could have the mask, and the casinos were providing both of them. And there was a woman who I saw, I should have taken a picture of it. I wish I did. And she was playing a slot machine, and she had one of those face guards on, but it was lifted up so she could get the cigarette in and blow the smoke. So the only thing that the mask was covering was part of her vision.
So sight not as important as smoke?
As long as she hit the button, she was happy.
I saw at least 5, 6. They were parked in front of my house and one house above. I saw that.
How much do you think he has to hack up every morning?
You know, if you want to get the kids to not smoke, every school in California, although LAUSD may opt out of this for all the obvious reasons, may want to show this report to the kiddos and say, listen, if you smoke and your neighbor does something bad, this is how you're going to sound on the news.
I saw at least 5, 6. They were parked in front of my house and one house above.
You know, I had to do a double take when I was listening to this story on my morning walk, because for a second I thought that Alberto Carvalho's neighbor was Danny Bonaducci.
I saw at least 5, 6. They were parked in front of my house and one house above. I saw that one was with a camo with a rifle.
And by the way, if you're wondering why NBC4 is spending so much time interviewing this neighbor, it's because they think this is hilarious too.
Oh, this is the longest actuality I've heard on the news in a very long time. And for the record, I'm not criticizing NBC for doing it. In fact, if this guy wants to call in, he can call in and talk for as long as he wants. I'll go eat a sandwich.
I saw that one was with a camo with a rifle pointing at the house.
Poor guy sounds like he's getting winded.
I wonder if he ever did radio.
Does have a little Wolfman Jack in him.
Oh, yeah.
As the FBI searched the superintendent's home, they also...
Just for a clarification.
Pointing at the house.
Tobacco.
As the FBI searched...
No tobacco.
One more time so the kids understand.
Pointing at the house.
Tobacco.
As the FBI searched the...
No tobacco.
Can you imagine what pictures of their lungs put side to side might look like?
As the FBI searched the superintendent's home, they also served a search warrant at the LAUSD headquarters in downtown Los Angeles and at a home in South Florida. Carvalho previously served as superintendent in Miami. So far, the FBI and DOJ only confirmed that court-authorized searches took place. Separately, court records show federal prosecutors have an ongoing fraud case against the CEO of a failed tech startup, a startup that landed a multi-million-dollar contract with LAUSD to develop an AI chatbot.
This is the kind of financial white-collar crime that elected officials get busted for all the time. Why was this contract selected? Was there some kind of deal made?
Now, we don't know what is being alleged, and we don't know what the defense will be. But I want to make a prediction right now. Since it involves an AI chatbot, which is cutting-edge technology coming out of Silicon Valley, and we're dealing with a government bureaucrat, my guess is he's going to allege that he was taken advantage of, and he doesn't know anything about technology. And you get some guy with a fancy degree and a slick presentation, and they will buy literally anything.
Carvalho is not named in the case. The reason for today's raid is still unclear. LAUSD offered a brief statement saying, quote, "We have been informed of law enforcement activity at Los Angeles Unified School District headquarters and at the home of the superintendent. The district is cooperating."
And by the way, we have to have her on soon. Jennifer Van Laar of Red State's been doing some incredible reporting on just for someone who works as a superintendent in LAUSD for the past few years, making about $400K. He was working at Miami before that. Do you know how many homes this guy owns?
How many?
A lot.
The district is cooperating with the investigation, and we do not have further information at this time. But back at the superintendent's home, Carvalho's neighbor says he doesn't know what happened.
They brought him back.
We're going back to him, huh?
Well, you can't just have one drag of this guy.
Do you think when he wakes up in the morning, the first thing he smells is coffee and bacon frying in the pan and maybe opening up the door and smelling that fresh California air? Or do you think he just walks right up to the exhaust pipe of the Navigator of the Seas and takes a couple of drags?
But back at the superintendent's home, Carvalho's neighbor says he doesn't know what happened, but he wants people to wait for the facts to come out.
You want people to not to rush to judgment.
Yeah, everything needs due process. But I really think could have been done in a much simpler, more common fashion.
Excellent legal analysis from Diamond Dallas Page.
Just in case you couldn't hear him clearly, I got to play that one more time.
You want people to not to rush to judgment.
Yeah, everything needs due process. But
I just want to drink some warm water with lemon in it right now.
yeah, everything needs due process. But I really think could have been done in a much simpler, more common fashion.
That guy sounds like what Gavin would sound like if he smoked 10 packs a day.
It just hurts listening to.
We have confirmed that no arrest took place today. We did reach out to Superintendent Alberto Carvalho and his attorney, but we haven't received a response. We're live in San Pedro.
Now, do you think he is going to take the attorney's advice and stay silent about this case until the FBI comes down with whatever they're coming down with, whether it is an indictment or talk about what he's involved with? Or do you think he's going to go full Shang and hold a press conference talking about how innocent he is?
Oh, no. God only gave us one Shang. And Carvalho may not be the sharpest knife that we own, but he doesn't have a room temperature IQ.
We're live in San Pedro. I'm Alex Rozier, NBC4 News.
Thanks, Alex. Our team coverage continues right now with our investigative reporter, Eric Leonard. Eric, you've seen the searches today. Is there anything we can take away from that or deduce, given the sort of investigation that we're seeing out there? and where they went?
Yeah, I think so, because to some degree, it is pretty clear that whatever the feds are after, it's something they believe the superintendent may be personally involved with rather than...
You don't just get your home raided because you might be connected to an unrelated case.
Now, when they raided Shank's house, she said she was topless and didn't have a bra on. I wonder if Carvalho was topless and didn't have a bra on.
Let's say, a larger bureaucratic suspicion about the way the school district may be managing its money. The search at district headquarters appeared limited to the superintendent's work areas, and the search of his home would also seem to point directly in that direction. The FBI also searched a house in Florida today in connection with the same case. Now, that's owned by a woman with ties to Carvalho. Property records show her name is Deborah Kerr, and she recently told a bankruptcy court that she's still owed a commission for closing a $6 million artificial intelligence software deal with the LAUSD. You just heard Alex.
Yeah, that's going to be it right there.
Oh, yeah. They're really, really good at paying attention to bankruptcy court hearings.
The bankruptcy case follows the collapse of that software company, which was owned by another woman who was indicted in 2024 on federal fraud charges in New York. Of course, we should mention that New York fraud case does not mention Carvalho by name, Deborah Kerr, or so far anyone connected with the LAUSD.
A lot of moving parts to this here. So what happens next in an investigation like this?
We wait and we wait and we wait.
And then one day they just lay it all out.
A lot of things, and unfortunately, it can sometimes take a really long time. The searches that we saw today may not be the only ones conducted. Remember, it's just what we saw. There could be many more, and often when we see the FBI out searching a physical space, like the office and the house, those are done in concert with search warrants to digital service providers, cloud services, phone companies, and so on. Remember, it has to be a felony case because you can't get a search warrant for a misdemeanor or anything less significant, and these investigations can take months, even years to mature into criminal charges or indictments. Federal white-collar cases are often slow. They're methodical. We saw that in the months that passed between...
How long were the FBI looking at the dongs before they raided?
Probably many years.
We saw that in the months that passed between the FBI searches of the L.A. City Hall, the city attorney's office, the Department of Water and Power years ago. The indictments eventually targeted members of the city council, executives at the DWP, city council members.
But, you know, the FBI is tasked with a lot of things, but they have had to spend many man hours covering specifically politicians in the city of Los Angeles.
You know, if they keep turning over stones, we're not going to have any local government officials left.
But those took a long time to appear, so it could be months.
All right.
All right, Eric Leonard, as always, we appreciate your insight.
You got it.
So there you go. That's the latest on Alberto Carvalho. And if you accuse me of only bringing you this story so we could make fun of the smoking guy, you would be right.
You think the smoking guy was topless when the raid happened?
I think he witnessed it because he was outside blowing a butt.
I'm picturing a massive tattoo on his left arm, right there below the shoulder of the Marlboro Man. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Oh, here is a great one. It comes from Ken. Ken writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com on the Fresno sex offender running for city council. Hey, John and Randy, all politicians should be registered as sex offenders because they've been us.
Now, here's a question. If the registered sex offender is a candidate running for office in your community and they have a fundraiser and they give you remittance envelopes, that's when you write the check and you put the check in the remittance envelope, and then you give it to the candidate or the candidate's treasurer on the way out of the event. I wonder if you can just stuff it in the ankle monitor. You know, like a stripper gets dollars in the underwear. You just put that remittance check right there in the ankle monitor. Good luck. Good luck, son.
We will be following that city council race in Fresno. I'm sure.
And speaking of Fresno, you can listen to us on the weekends there.
That's right. It's very possible that that candidate is listening to this right now on a replay that airs on Saturdays at noon. We do 15 hours a week of this show. And if that's not enough for you, we also have the podcasts of this show by searching for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also get the free KABC app and the free KSFO app. But even that wasn't enough because we know the Central Valley needs our nonsense. So we do a special package version of the Fix California Hour every Saturday at noon. I'm editing today's right now. I'm working on it, Blake. I'm working on it. It airs every Saturday at noon on the big KMJ in Fresno. That is 580 on the AM dial, 105.9 FM. You can stream it at kmjnow.com. Get the KMJ Now app. It's the Fix California Hour replay, Saturdays at noon on KMJ.
You think that guy is listening to us?
It's possible. It's like the biggest radio station in Fresno.
Well, I can't remember if Nielsen said we were popular with perverts or not. Well, the people of California are paying for a Capitol Annex Project to modernize the state capitol in Sacramento, make it look pretty, make it look inviting. But of course, since the state of California is behind the project, that means it's a complete disaster.
And they don't want anyone to know any of the details, and no one can understand why, because every aspect of this project is under non-disclosure agreements. So Ashley Zavala decided to interview the construction workers and see if they would talk.
This is a construction project at the state capitol. It's not Jeffrey Epstein's island. Why do you need to sign an NDA?
Good question. For more, here's KCRA 3 and Ashley Zavala.
Well, we have some new information now on that controversial, secretive California Capitol Annex Project.
That's the construction of...
And if you wonder why Zavala is so obsessed with this, well, for a few reasons. One, she is for transparency and accountability. But two, she probably finds it really interesting that of the plans for the annex, they have a secret hallway where lawmakers can escape to run away from Ashley Zavala.
It's just unbelievable that they're turning the state capitol into, I don't know, Bruce Wayne's mansion.
Project.
And then they don't want to answer any questions about it.
Project.
That's the construction of a new office building for lawmakers and the governor. Project leaders for years have been keeping taxpayers in the dark about the cost of this new building. It's expected to cost at least $1 billion. Our KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala joined.
By the way, I would ask why they even need this annex when there is a ton of empty office space in downtown Sacramento because the unions who work for the state refuse to go back into the office.
Oh, no. They want a new, shiny, cool place to work.
Our KCRA 3 political director Ashley Zavala joins us with a new push for transparency. Ashley?
Lisa, well, nearly 3 months after promising to be more transparent, project leaders have yet to give an update on the cost of this project. They're also rejecting our repeated requests for an interview. At last check, more than 3 years ago, this was going to cost taxpayers $1.1 billion.
But that's in 2022 money. It's going to cost way more now.
Do you remember the last time they did make themselves available for an interview and they were both so bitchy with her?
They're not a fan. And that tells you, by the way, what a good job Zavala does, that the legislators in Sacramento hate her. Who was it? Was it Mia Bonta that had a staffer almost shove her?
Yeah, I think it was another assembly person. I think it was Tina McKenna, who I guess put her arm up to keep her out of the elevator.
But we broke the story back in 2020.
And that was when Mia Bonta was on the Public Safety Committee while her husband was the Attorney General. Like there's no conflict of interest there.
But we broke the story back in 2024 that thousands of people, including project leaders, have signed non-disclosure agreements, legally agreeing to keep basic information about this project a secret. Well, a new bill at the state capitol filed last week could end the secrecy and force a very public conversation.
Capitol Annex construction workers on lunch. Hi there. How's it going in there? No comment.
Tight-lipped.
Boy, even the actual construction workers aren't allowed to talk?
Hi there. How's it?
Well, part of what's a secret is the lucrative contracts that the developers and the construction unions got for this thing. They're getting paid a lot of money to build this.
Hi there. How's it going in there?
No comment.
Tight-lipped.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't talk. I don't want to get in trouble here.
This is a project for the state capitol. This is not, I don't know, Area 51.
Instructed to not say anything.
Just checking to see how the construction's going.
Like any other job, I reckon.
So the foreman must have come down and warned all the guys in hats, hey, Zavala's coming. And even though she's a looker, you don't talk to her.
This contract is worth too much.
Okay. I know you can't really share much, though, right? Have you all been told you can't share much?
I don't know.
We tried with them because we're still not getting much from project leaders. These workers, some state lawmakers, government officials, and thousands of others have signed non-disclosure agreements to keep basic information about the project a secret.
I think when you're going to spend over $1 billion, you need to have more transparency than this.
Assemblyman Josh Hoover filed a bill that would toss those secrecy agreements.
The bill would...
I mean, Gavin will veto it, but I love the idea of the bill. There should be no NDAs when it comes to crafting legislation or contracts for a government project.
How is this even legal?
So the bill would, in one part, obviously void any existing NDAs on the project, which in my opinion have been used to sort of shroud this project in secrecy, and a lot of people hiding behind those NDAs to block information coming out, even to legislators.
Hoover's bill would also prohibit construction of a new visitor center on the west side of the main state capitol, which was originally part of the plan. Project leaders quietly decided to not move forward with it. It's one of several decisions they've made behind closed doors.
Why? It's so weird that they want to keep this project so secret.
There has to be something that we're missing here, besides just the usual graft.
We have heard that visitor center may or may not happen, but what we really want to see is just assurances.
We believe it's also important for us to be transparent.
No, you don't.
How could you go on TV and say that with a straight face when everyone involved has already signed an NDA?
Months after promising to be more transparent, lawmakers leading the project, Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco and State Senator John Laird, have since rejected our repeated requests for an interview. The two have been defending the use of the project's NDAs to protect security and sensitive bidding information.
Why not?
This could be, by the way, another thing that maybe the FBI wants to look at. Who got these contracts? Who's connected to who? That's what happens in Sacramento.
When it doesn't make sense, when the behavior, you look at it 15 ways from Sunday, and you can't figure out why they're doing what they're doing, but you know it's not logical, you're asking the wrong questions. Something is going on here that we don't know about.
Why not change this NDA to say what the two of you are saying right now about security and bids?
So these are drafted by legal counsel, and so I cannot say why legal counsel would draft it in such a manner. Sometimes legal counsel prefers to have broad language.
We're told construction is more than halfway through, and the building is expected to be complete by fall of 2027.
It's puzzling.
Dick Cowan used to lead the state's now defunct Historic State Capitol Commission. He supports Hoover's bill.
Which is the only way the current leaders of the project can really find out what went wrong and how they could avoid this on future projects. They have to talk to everyone involved. And of course, at the moment, those people are afraid to speak.
Well, it's not that they're afraid to speak. They can't do it. They'll probably lose their jobs.
Now, in a statement together, those project leaders, Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco and State Senator John Laird, said they're aware of the proposal and will let the legislative process run its course. When I asked about the updated cost estimate today, they said they're still waiting for project managers to, quote, crunch the numbers.
They can't even tell us how much this building's going to cost.
No. And these are basic questions. Whenever someone can't answer a basic question, there's usually a nefarious reason.
And will share as soon as they can. I should note, they've been saying this for the last 3 months.
Well, and I'm just curious, 2 questions. Well, Cowan just said they're afraid to speak. Why are they afraid to speak? And what is the governor saying about all this?
Right. I mean, that's the question, is why is everyone so, I mean, honestly, this project predates so many of the people at the state capitol right now. It's really not clear what they're trying to protect. Meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom, I did reach out to his office today.
Remember when Zavala asked Gavin about this? He's like, I want you to find out. I want to know about this too. And he didn't help at all.
I'm a citizen and a taxpayer. We need to get to the bottom of this. We'll get right back to you.
Now, again, his office does not oversee the day-to-day decision-making on this project, but I just asked if he has anything to add here. Nothing yet. We are still waiting to hear back.
I mean, because you shouldn't be scared to just tell the truth and be honest about it, right?
And at some point, maybe we'll get an update. That's what project leaders are saying.
Yeah. Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah.
I got bad news for you, Sacramento. Ashley's never going to let go. So you might as well give in and just tell us what is so weird about this project.
Well, in a one-party state, they probably don't have to answer. What they do is they say, we're being transparent. We're the most transparent government in the history of governments. And then when you ask a question, well, we can't answer that right now, but we'll get back to you when we know the answer. And you just continue to use that as the company line. You never deviate. That's what they do. And unless there's political pressure to answer those questions, they're never going to do it. And this is part of what's so perplexing to me about living in this state, where as a Republican, I'm not in the majority, so I don't really have a say. It's not until this sort of thing offends Democrats that the Capitol will have to react to it. Once this offends Democrats, then they'll have to start answering questions. But as of right now, they don't seem to care. I don't understand why, especially if you're the unions. Look at the SEIU. They are spending money to put a tax on the ballot to raise money to protect their jobs, a wealth confiscation tax. Well, would you need to do that to protect your membership if you didn't have boondoggle projects sucking up all the money? Why aren't they offended? I don't understand. None of this makes any sense at all. None of it. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. The Fix California Hour coming up after the news at 1. Here with an update on that registered sex offender running for office in the Central Valley, Mr. Randy Wang.
There's a registered sex offender running for Fresno City Council. Let's hear from him. Here's ABC 30 Action News in the Central Valley.
A registered sex offender has launched a Fresno City Council campaign to represent District 7, which includes Old Fig Garden, East Central Fresno, and parts of Southeast Fresno. He would join a crowded field vying for the seat when Councilman Nelson...
What do you think that debate's going to be like?
Well, there might be some mudslung.
When Councilman Nelson Esparza's term runs out. The controversial political hopeful spoke with Action News reporter Brisa Colon in his first television interview about the criminal past. He's not hiding.
Did they have to get a special camera that could zoom in because he had to stay 500 feet away from them?
It's possible.
Well, I believe Fresno deserves leaders that are honest from the very beginning, not the end.
Now, just to be clear, this interview was conducted in person in Fresno and not via Skype from Bangkok.
Yes.
So going into this, I am putting my life out there.
Up front about his status as a registered sex offender, Rene Campos is not running from his past as he runs for office.
I've been given the chance to rehabilitate through the courts and back into the system.
Charged with being in possession of child sex abuse material back in 2018, the Fresno native says he pled no contest to a misdemeanor charge. Now launching his campaign to represent District 7 on the Fresno City Council.
What is this guy's platform?
Yeah, what are your credentials if you've spent your life as a sex offender?
He says his focus is on safety.
Of course.
So I say, let's choose somebody outside the box, somebody who knows the system from inside out. Because I've experienced the laws that we are trying to reform right now.
I've been in the system, so I know how to reform it.
How could he even still vote?
Oh, you can vote as soon as you're out. That's how California works.
Okay.
Fresno County Clerk and Registrar of Voters James Coos says state law does not prevent a registered sex offender from running for office.
Once you leave prison.
I mean, we have plenty of sex offenders that run for office, but we don't have a lot of registered sex offenders that run for office.
No, most are off the books.
Once you leave prison, you're on probation, you actually are allowed in California to reapply and become a registered voter again, which would then make you eligible to be able to run as long as you are living in the proper jurisdiction.
That's what's so funny about this is everyone had to do the same kind of head turn. Wait a second. It's legal for a registered sex offender to run for office.
I wonder what his endorsement list looks like.
Campos looks to enter a growing field of people vying for the seat.
And I feel like they're all going to have their attack lines ready to go.
Oh, yeah. And every time you hit the piñata, candy comes out. Well, if turnout's 11%, maybe he'll win. I don't know. Voters here are pretty apathetic. Fresno, don't screw this one up. Just trust me. You're going to be made fun of on the 5. You're going to be made fun of on the late night shows, Gutfeld. Don't do it.